Hello again and welcome back to our course on Excel 2019 Advanced. In the last couple of sections, we've been looking at tables, and apart from creating tables, we've been looking at inserting columns, deleting rows, inserting rows, and so on. And it's quite often the case that when you're working with tables, in particular with a table like this order details table, that many of the cells within the table will be occupied by formulae. The formulae might be involved in a calculation, such as this one in H11, where we're multiplying a quantity by a price to give a total price. And it may involve things like a lookup function, such as the lookup functions used in cell D11. When we're doing this, we can make the cells in a table and the associated formulae much easier to understand by using some of the features of table referencing, because you can refer to the elements within a table using a very convenient and easy to follow referencing system. So for instance, in the column that's headed quantity, it can actually be referred to as the quantity column. And in a formula, such as the one in H11, instead of putting B11, all I really need to do is refer to the quantity column. Now, the way that I do that is to just replace B11 in the formula with quantity. I'm going to put a square bracket, and as soon as I type that square bracket, Excel knows that I'm referring to a column in this table, and it gives me a list of the columns in the table, and you can see that there are 7 of them. And I just choose the one that I want, so I'm going to double click on quantity and close the square bracket. Obviously my result is unaffected, but I have a formula now which is a little bit easier to understand. Let's click back on it and review it. And what I could do to make it even easier to understand a little bit further is go to G11 and do exactly the same thing. So G11 is discounted price, so let's replace that as well. Square bracket, double click on discounted price, square bracket, and enter. I could even do the same for the check in my formula, so where we have E11. So E11 is going to be discounted price. So let's switch that out as well. Double click to highlight, square bracket, and this time we're going to say unit price. Double click and close the square bracket. So this basically makes my formula a lot easier to understand, so let's read through it. I do a check to see if there's something in E11, so basically say, have I got a price, which indicates that I've actually got a part in this row. And what my formula now says is this: if the unit price is empty, so there is no unit price, then the total price is empty as well. If unit price isn't empty, multiply quantity by discounted price to give the total price for this line in the order. Note that with this approach, you don't need to put row numbers because Excel assumed that you are referring to cells in the same row as the row containing this formula. So what I've done now is to go through each of the columns in the order details table and replace each cell reference by the correct reference within the table. So I've basically used the column names within the table instead of specific cell references. I only have to do that once for each formula, and then Excel automatically fills that down to the other rows in the table. If I want to refer to something in the table from outside, that's pretty easy as well. Suppose I want to put a little tag down here in cell D16 that thanks the customer and perhaps confirms the number of items in the order. Now, in order to do this, I'm going to create a reference from outside the table to a specific cell inside the table. And there is a set of rules for how to create such references. I'm going to refer you to the relevant page in Excel Help in a moment, but I can demonstrate this first with an example to give you an idea of how it works. Now, I want to say in cell D16 something along the lines of, there are 11 items in your order, thank you for your business. Now, of course, I'm not going to make 11 a fixed figure. I'm going to use the total from the quantity column in the table. So first of all, this is going to be effectively a formula. So we'll start with an equals. And I'm going to concatenate some text strings. The first text string is, and then what I want to do is get the total of the quantity column. Now, in order to do this, I'm going to need to refer to the order details table. This is the name we assigned to the table earlier on in the course. So if at this point I type in an O, Excel IntelliSense brings up a number of items that begin with O, and one of them is order details table. So now I start putting in my reference. If I want my reference to be the total of the quantity column, it's actually going to be two parts. The first part will specify that I'm looking at something from the totals row, and the second part will specify that I want it from the quantity column in the totals row. So I do a square bracket to start the whole process off, then a second square bracket to specify the first part, which is the totals part. Close off my square bracket, comma, open square bracket, and now I choose the column, which is quantity. Close square brackets. Now that's the completion of my reference to a specific entity in the order details table, so I need to close square brackets again. Then I need to type in the rest of my text string, so it will end up saying there are 11, or whatever the quantity is, items in your order. Thank you for your business. So I want to add that additional text string. So let's do another ampersand, quote marks, and we want a space in there, items in your order. Thank you for your business, and close quotes. Let's press enter. And there you can see, so there are 11 items in your order. Thank you for your business. And of course, this will adjust depending on the total in that quantity column. So I've shown you there a specific example of referring to a total in an Excel table from outside. There's a very good page in Excel 2019 Help that explains structured references and how to use them. It is quite a long page, but it also has quite a lot of examples in it, and you should find it interesting to work your way through there to find the many ways that you can refer to things like totals. We will be seeing a few more examples of this, and in fact, exercise 6 will involve you working out one of these examples yourself, but I do recommend that you have a good read of that particular page in Excel Help. So that's it on table references. I want to spend a short period of time looking a little bit more at table styles, so that's up next. I will see you there.